All right, everybody, that theme song means that we are on the air tonight. It is Dave Stevens, and you have joined us live tonight for Ability MKE with Dave Stevens, myself, the host, and Marcus Hart isn't here right now. I'm not sure where we lost him, but hopefully he'll pop back in. And it is so exciting to be here tonight with you guys. It's a very special show. Waiting for Rocky, hopefully, to jump in here. Rocky Bleier is my guest, but we've got the band of merry folks tonight that are with us. Anna Maria Bliven, she's going to be here tonight at the end of the show from Onward and Upward and talking about the online job market. So we'll get back to her in a little bit. My DJ Marcus Hart, I'm not sure where he is, but we'll catch up with him a little bit later. Hopefully he'll join back in, but it's going to be a fun show tonight. As you know, Rocky Blyer is scheduled to jump on. I hope he's going to be here any second. So, I might as well kick things off since we're making another guy wait who has decided to join us. Let me go ahead and bring in this man, and I know it's an introduction that could take 20 to 30 minutes, but a guy out of Penn State. He was an NFL Rookie of the Year. He's a Super Bowl MVP, 9 consecutive Pro Bowls, rushed for over 12,120 yards, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Franco Harris, hey, buddy, thank you for joining us here at Ability MKE. Thanks for being a part of this tonight.
Hey, Dave, I'm doing well, still hanging in there, staying out of the way of, I guess, a lot of things and a lot of people, but thank you for having me. I'm doing well.
Thanks for joining us, and we're waiting for your surprise to show up, but hopefully he'll pop in here in a little bit. But again, right now on here with me is number 32. I feel like I should start talking like the great and legendary Howard Cosell, just every time I see you and, I can just picture, here he is. He's just better than you've ever seen the Mikhail Baryshnikov on the legendary
32. Yeah, Howard was something, let me tell you. Those were the days back in the 70s. 70s were, so long ago.
Do you ever get tired of talking about those teams and that dynasty and everything that you guys kind of represented?
Hey, you know what? I love my teammates, great guys, great people. We had, I guess I'm going to take the liberty of saying that I think we had the greatest run in NFL history. It was incredible. And the 70s run, I think, set a benchmark for a lot to follow. And we had quite a team. And Donnie Shell got into the Hall of Fame this year. So that's number 10 out of the 22 starters, 10 in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
And, people talk about dynasties now. It's tough to win 2 in a row. But, I mean, you guys had that year in and year out, the classic battles with the Cowboys, wanted the one for the thumb in 81. But the core of that group, unlike now with free agency and everything, you guys stayed together a long time with wide receivers and running backs and that quarterback we talk about every now and then. That core of that team really played together, and we're in those trenches for most of those battles.
You know what I tell people, and that I'm glad we did not have free agency. Now, people say, Franco, that's crazy because we made nowhere near the money that players are making today because of free agency. But you know what? I'd rather have our decade that we had with the 4 championships and played in 6 championship games and, in the playoffs just like every year. I would rather have that than have the money. Now, I know it sounds crazy, but that's me. I'd rather have the time that we had than the money that could have been had.
And in those days, you guys had, people don't realize that you guys sometimes in the off season would have to do things, jobs. And in fact, I remember one of the battles that you guys had against the Vikings in like a tug of war.
Super team. That's what it was called.
Oh, and look here. I got too many people here, so I gotta bring Rocky in here. Holy cow, I've been doing this and you jumped in here and the surprise is ruined, Rock.
How you doing, Steve? Franco, my man.
Rocky, hello there.
Nice to
Hey,
see you.
Rocky, like I guess one of the first times I was on time.
That's right. You were on time. That's right. I was late.
That's okay. I'm just glad you guys are here, and the guy that is on the bottom of your screen right now, he needs no introduction, but just let me tell you, it's number 20, Rocky Blyer. This guy is just an amazing story. Out of Notre Dame, won a national championship with Notre Dame. Came into the NFL, then got drafted, went to Vietnam, came back, survived getting blown up in Vietnam, and has made it in the NFL, 4 Super Bowl titles with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just an amazing guy off the field who's done so much. So, Rocky, it's so great to have you here. And I just wanted you and Franco, if you guys want to catch up and say I know you guys haven't seen each other for a while. How you guys doing?
Yeah, especially with this pandemic that's going on.
I was thinking last time might have been December then.
Yeah, you're right. Since everything else has, we missed our birthdays together. Frank, our birthdays are right around each other's in early part of March, and so
Mine's is the 7th. I think you're what the 5th?
Yeah, mine's the 5th. Right? Yeah, mine's the 5th, and he's the 7th, and so on. Yeah.
Well,
But anyway, it's great to be able to get together like this.
Yeah, Dave, you were talking about Rocky's story. It is an incredible story, and but it just goes to show you, even though the challenges we face, the perseverance and hard work, makes a difference. And also, Rocky, I was telling him that we had a pretty good team back then too.
Pretty good team. You better believe it was a pretty good team. It was a damn good team with all the players that we had and the characters we had on the team, and how it meshed together. And then and you think about it. So we talk about the dynasty. We talk about the 70s and the Immaculate Reception and the turning point of the Steelers and a belief system and guys coming together. But as we look back, it's great to be able to say that we were the best. But at the moment in time, it was like in 1974. At the beginning of that season, just to put it in perspective, is that Franco was banged up. He got hurt in the first game, and so he was not available for the first part of the season. Joe Gillum was the starting quarterback. Bradshaw was sitting on the bench. And we got off to a shaky 3-1-1 start, so nobody knew what was going to happen, at that period of time until it kind of all meshed together. When Franco got healthy and we came back, and then Bradshaw came back, and I got a chance to start in that backfield about the 5th game of that season, so it kind of, but no one knew, because there was a players' strike. 14 new guys made the team in 1974, which is a lot, and so there was a lot of upheaval that we had to overcome to be able to set that standard in that year specifically, and so that kind of did it.
Rocky, if you think about it, how certain things make certain things happen, because as you said, in 1974, things weren't going that well. Things were kind of sputtering. And like when I came back, the decision by, I think it was Dick Hoke, or was the other coaches, or Dick Hoke, to try us both together in the backfield, right?
Right, yeah. So anyway, so as I heard that story, it was basically Chuck Noll had talked to Dick, or in their conversation, and said that there was a weakness in their backfield. And the weakness was he said, "Who's your best blocker?" And they said, "Well, Blyer." And he said, "Well, then start him."
Wait. When they asked that question, who's the best blocker, they didn't include.
Well, they said, "Who's your best runner?" But I didn't. Since you're on this program, and I didn't want to take that away from you, so I put best blocker in there because people would understand that.
And Franco,
but
Franco,
but
go
what I
ahead.
do want to say that someone the other day was mentioning the 1976 season, and to me, I think that that season showed a lot. Really showed what we were made of. And even though it wasn't a Super Bowl season, I tell people that was a season that really showed the true character of our team. And if it
Oh
wasn't,
yeah,
and if it wasn't for injuries right at the end again, I feel strongly we would have won 3 in a row.
that's right. So and that's just, sort of just to put things in perspective for the fans out there or people who are listening to this. We lost 4 of our first 5 games in 1976. And all of a sudden, and Bradshaw got hurt, and he was out. And in the
The
remaining
rest of the
9
season,
games, for the rest of the season, the remaining 9 games, the defense, had 5 shutouts, only allowed 126 points or 126 yards average, like 21 points or something within the 5. And we, Bradshaw got hurt in a game against Cleveland, and our backup quarterback was Mike Krzyzek, who was a rookie at that time. So all of a sudden they pare down the offense, and we're running the ball. The offensive line did a wonderful job, a great job. And I tell this in all honesty, only because of the fact that Franco gained 1,100 and some yards that season, but I gained 1,000 yards myself. And so, which was a tribute to that offensive line of being able to do as much as they did, and we just controlled the ball, 3 and down, 3 and out with the defense, and then offense we just ran the ball, and we got into the playoffs, and both Franco and I got hurt in the Baltimore game, and then we went out to Oakland to play the championship game and lost that game because all the running backs were banged up.
Well, you guys, still are one of the most legendary tandems in football history. I mean, there aren't a lot of teams that had that power that you guys, and I'm just kind of curious, what with the ego of Terry and you guys taking all the balls and not getting any passes downfield for that guy whose ego sometimes people like to talk about and tease. But I mean, what was that like when, you guys knew that either one of you was going to carry the ball almost every single play?
Well, both Franco and I argued who was going to get the ball, and he won out most of the time.
well,
No, so now you talk to Bradshaw. You talk to Bradshaw, and he'll go, "Oh, no." He said, "I was for, I asked, what do you guys wanted to run? What did you want to run? What did you want to run? What pass did you?" So we got the Stallworth and Swan saying, "Well, throw me the ball." Franco saying, "Well, give me the ball. Well, I'll block for Franco then. So give him the ball." So.
Well, like me and Rocky, I guess we still argue who had the best catch, though. You know what I mean? So
there is no argument. You got the best catch, as it was voted for the number 1 play in the 50 years of football history. Yes.
I don't know, Rocky. You had a hell of a catch.
And speaking of the Immaculate Reception, that's one of the most iconic plays, but there's still this thing that's built up in the lore. And Rocky, you've been on 3 Sports Illustrated covers. The first one when you were out of Vietnam, second one when you guys started that great tandem. And then, of course, there's the leaping one in the end zone. And I use that word leaping because depending on your teammates and your opponents, sometimes they say, it was only a couple inches off the ground, and but a lot
That's
of
all it was. That's all it was.
So I'm curious because here we'll take a look at this. I broke down the film. I've zoomed in on all these plays. You can kind of see some air. You can see some, but with all those clumsy pads and everything that you had, I'm just curious. How did you get that ball in the first place and then tuck it in and fall into the end zone like that?
I just have to tell you that those pictures that you just showed, all those pictures, were really on my way down. See, I was much higher. I was 18, 19 feet. So I was out of range. And now they caught me on the way down. So I just wanted to explain that.
For our radio listeners, I had a couple of pictures up, and there are some heights, I guess, depending on if you're on the ground.
Well, Franco thought it was like 2 inches or 4 inches that I jumped.
Well, Rocky, it's an 8-second play.
Camera angle, camera angle.
That's right.
Well, Rocky, it's an 8-second play, but you talk about it for 30 minutes at a time, and I'm just curious, Franco, from your perspective, what do you remember on that play?
No, like I tell you what, that was a huge play because we were going back and forth with the Cowboys. That was one heck of a game, and every touchdown was big for us at that time. That was one heck of a game that we had that year.
That's right.
And you know what? And I do want to say that what made our team special is that we had guys that could make plays, right? And big plays when we needed big plays. And that's what made a difference. I mean, having a quarterback like Bradshaw, one of the strongest quarterbacks, strongest arms in, probably in, quarterback history. And boy, he could make big plays. And you think about through our whole decade, people came up with plays when we needed it. And that was one heck of a play at a very big time.
Dave, I have to share this with you. After all these years, and since you brought that play up, I was looking at the statistics of that game, because you kind of forget of what happens. You knew it was a big game, it was a Super Bowl game, blah blah blah, in there. And so I went back and I looked at because I thought, well, I really helped this team throughout. So I went through the statistics. Here's my statistics. I carried the ball twice for 2 yards, and I caught one pass, and that was it. That's all I did. And I'm on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
Rocky, those 2 yards were big yards. They probably got us first downs, both of those carries.
I don't think so.
and then you got a touchdown for that.
That's right.
Catch.
But here's the biggest play that took place in that game, which was that the Cowboys, being the Cowboys, having the ability to score and come back. So they're down by 14 points, or less than that. So by 11 points, and they get an onside kick, and they recover the onside kick. They take it down, and they score. So now there's a 4-point difference, and there's maybe less than a minute left on the clock. I think maybe 40 seconds, and they're lined up for another onside kick, obviously, to try to get the ball. Well, I'm on the all hands team as we're receiving the ball, and I'm right up in front. Now, you might think, that, you're up in front and say, okay, fine, give me the ball, kick it to me. If you're going to kick it to me, kick it to me. If you're going to kick it anybody, kick it to me so I can get on the ball. Well, I'm not that guy. Okay, so I'm right in the middle, and I'm going, don't kick it to me. Don't kick it to me. And of course, they didn't listen to me, and so they dribble it towards me, and I dive on the ball at the end of the game. And I have to tell you one thing. That was the hardest I ever been hit in that whole game, was there at that last.
Well, I think you may have taken some hits by the guy that played you in your life story, because I got to bring that up too. It was Robert Urich played you, Rocky, in the Rocky Blyer story, Fighting Back. And it was that ABC, movie of the week, but still had some fun. He had, I think, Art Carney was the owner of the Steelers, and
right, yeah.
And I just was wondering your memories of that movie, and Franco. If you had to Siskel and Ebert that movie, what would be your thoughts on that movie?
Oh, no, I enjoyed it.
Because it wasn't about him. That's right. So Robert Urich, who was at that time very popular as an actor, and then was playing Dan Tana. on television. Actually, was born and raised in Toronto, Ohio, which is not far from outside of Pittsburgh. And they played football in high school, and then his high school football coach went down to take an assistant job at Florida State, and so he got a scholarship to be play center at Florida State, and he went down there, and but like a lot of stories, he got hurt his freshman year, and still had the scholarship, but then went into acting, but anyway. So I always thought, is that he was perfect, because that's how I see myself. Now I don't know what you guys see, or what the populace see. I that's how I see myself: tall, good looking, a lot of hair. So so that's why we got him to play.
I'm just curious what the guys thought, Franco, when you guys may have watched the movie or sat around. No,
they couldn't think anything, because I had them in the movie. They were all in the movie somewhere. So everybody had a role somewhere in there. So they couldn't say anything bad about it.
Well, Rocky had a movie. Rocky did his one-man show and did a wonderful job with that. So, Rocky's become quite the star.
No, that's the only thing I have. I got a movie, could do the play.
Well, Franco, I know you got to get out of here, and I want to thank you for joining us. Do you have one Rocky memory that you could tell that's not, R-rated or something, that you just one of those Rockies that was he was Rocky before Rocky?
That's right.
No, I just want to say, a great teammate. Always enjoy being around Rocky. We have time sometime to share for lunch and dinner and that sort of stuff. It's it's always great. Always great to be with him, and great teammate, great friend. So lucky guy.
Yeah. So the great thing about Franco is he listens to all my stories, and he thinks they're funny. So that's.
And I laugh at him.
And he laughs.
Well, thank you, Franco, for joining us on Ability MKE now.
Nice to see you.
Same here.
See you, Rock.
I'll see you. Thanks, Franco.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right. Wow. Legendary Franco Harris. I'm sorry we didn't get that surprise, but you were probably surprised when you tuned in, Rocky.
I did, yes.
Lead the way again, right?
That was great, Dave. Thanks. Yeah, that was super.
Well, we're going to continue with the show. We've got some things. I don't know where my DJ Marcus Hart went, but we're going to continue with all of our friends. I can bring in a couple other people here in a minute. But, Rocky, I wanted to talk to you just before we head to our break here. You've got a lot of things that you have going on, some amazing things. For more information, people is available. They can go to, of course, RockyBlyer.com. But a couple of great things that you have going on with a couple of foundations, Beating the Odds, Warrior for Citizen. Tell us a little about that.
I think one of the great things with being able to play a professional sport, or be able to have the success of being a part of a team like Pittsburgh's during the 70s, and it gives you a stature or a certain recognition, and it gives you a platform to be able to give back to a community that supported you so strongly through those years that you played, and then thereafter. And so the favorite things that I'm involved are a lot of them have to do with the military, specifically. Warriors to Citizen is a organization that's based in Atlanta, but it is helping really our troops make a transition from the military life into civilian life. And so if we look at statistics, and it's horrendous, of our young people today in our volunteer army, from a divorce rate, from one deployment, a divorce rate goes up to 65%, two deployment goes up to 87% of our military, the effect that it has on a family and a family structure. There's post-traumatic stress that we have to deal with along the way, isolation that we deal with. and which leads to suicides. And now that number is 22 suicides a day amongst our military. And it increases during this COVID-19 period of time because of isolation, not being able to get to the VA or getting support mechanisms. So they do a lot of one-on-one work and bringing an awareness to that effect. Beating the Odds, as you saw, was another organization, and that was really helping kids make transitions or giving them a background of beating the odds and overcoming obstacles within school districts. So when you are growing up in junior high and high school, and unfortunately, I think that today they have taken away the foundations that allow kids to become leaders and give them leadership skills and so on and take responsibility. So we do a lot of that within the schools and the school districts. Actually, that whole thing has morphed into the correctional institutions and the prison systems to help inmates make that transition as they prepare to leave their correctional institution and go back into a normal life. And so what are those stepping stones to succeed? So we help them in establish them, buy-in by by not only the school districts, but also buy-in by the correctional institutions. So those are things that really tug at me and I think become very important. So if you have a voice to be able to bring it to the forefront, then you got to take advantage of that.
Well, I've got some voices here that are going to join us in a little bit. Anna Maria, we got a couple of minutes. Can you just kind of tease us what we're going to talk about after 8? Again, the onward and upward and what you're doing with people online. There's a lot of things to be afraid of. And give us 2 minutes of stuff, and we're going to talk to you after 8 o'clock.
Okay, here's my 2-minute spiel. First of all, wow, Rocky, I can really relate to the warrior to citizen. I know I'm talking to veterans, because I am one, that it's not an easy transition to go from military environment into the civilian workforce. Not easy at all. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy to tell you that in the last 18 years, I've been working at home, and I've discovered that there really is an online job market. And when people work remotely, especially if you're in a situation where you are having issues with PTSD or anxiety or depression or any of that, the remote workforce allows you to take breaks when you need to, so you can be productive when you can be. And that's why I love the remote workforce. And I love teaching the tips, tricks, and techniques for how to find those jobs without getting scammed. And when you go to look for a job and you go and see that there's a job opening with a company, you got to make sure that it's real. And there are ways in which we teach you on making sure that it's real. For one thing, a website is by law to have terms and conditions and privacy statement. If they're missing that, that's a red flag. Another thing, if there's grammar errors that are just blaring and spelling mistakes that are just blaring, chances are that is not a real website. Another thing, be careful of websites that have been kidnapped. You heard me right. We now have a situation where websites are being kidnapped. So you want my 2 minutes and you want my teaser? There's the teaser. Let's talk about making sure that you don't get caught looking for a job on a website that got kidnapped.
All right. Well, that's coming up in the next hour. So those of you on the radio side, we appreciate you joining us on riverwestradio.com. Marcus, are you there? Can we hear you this time? Oh, we don't have Marcus, so I apologize for that. So I will throw you to the next hour. Hopefully Marcus can get the audio fixed and we'll get him back on. Anna Maria is coming up. Of course, we got Rocky Bleier, but we are going to say good night to everybody out there. Thank you again, riverwestradio.com. This has been AbilityMKE Now with me, Dave Stevens, Marcus Hart, and of course, Anna Maria Bliven with job updates and information. Join us each and every week for these updates on riverwestradio.com, WXRW. All right, that music could only mean one thing. We've continued to the second hour of Ability MKE Now, and of course, we've got all kinds of people on the show. I got it so crammed in here. I'm going to hopefully be able to get everybody on here. So we got Anna Marie Blivens is back here with me. I've got my guest, Rocky Blyer, is joining us. Doug Cornfield is a part of the show, and Marcus, I'm not sure what's Marcus's audio, but you know what? Hopefully he can get that fixed and join us in a little bit. So the reason I have all these people here is my buddy Rocky Blyer is one of the most inspiring and amazing stories in the history of football. And the guy next to him, Doug Cornfield, has asked Rocky to be a part of a great book endeavor that they are working on. So Doug Cornfield, tell me what you got.
So, Rocky, you didn't know that when I met you a couple years ago at the Super Bowl, I'd keep showing up in your life, did you?
That's right. No, not at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry for it. Especially being an Eagles fan. It's always
That's
my
right. It's
father
tough.
is continually rolling when I'm dealing with this Pittsburgh Steeler guy that is a legend. But anyway, no, I got to know Rocky a couple of years ago at the Super Bowl. As fate would have it, we were on the same press table, and he got to hear my stories for a day, and we got to get a picture and get all four of his Steelers Super Bowl rings on my hand. And fortunately, the next day, the Eagles got one for the first time.
That's right. Yes.
So that was a good weekend. Anyway, I asked Rocky to be a part of a new book that I'm doing with Todd Sivan, who wrote a book about Rick and Dick Hoyt. Some people know their story. They're really kind of a legendary story of doing triathlons and marathons as father and son together, father pushing and pulling along his son through all those years of doing those marathons. And we have kind of a very touching story with my business partner, Dave Clark, where an act of kindness was never forgotten. And in short, it's called A Pound of Kindness. And his classmate, Dave, was a polio survivor and didn't have use of his legs. And he was all nervous about a field trip walking 5 blocks away. And lo and behold, at the day of the event, his friend Ernie Pound brought a radio flyer wagon to school that day to pull him and save the day. And so we are reaching out to people like Rocky Blyer and some other just incredible stories, but we're not wanting to regurgitate their legendary stories like you just heard in the last half hour. We asked Rocky to share about the people that pulled him along in his life. And if my memory goes to our interview, the story that we're writing goes back to even his teachers and his nuns from his school days, and of course the men that pulled him out of I assume the jungle where you were injured in Vietnam, and pretty goosebump worthy stuff that he gave us. And so we're putting that together in a chapter that talks about who pulled Rocky along, and that book's called Pulling Each Other Along. It'll be our first book of hopefully many in a Chicken Soup for the Soul style. And of course the guy up there to the left, top left, he's got a chapter that's going to be in that story as well, Dave Stevens. We're putting his story and the people that helped pull him along. And we want to focus on the good things and the things that people are doing in this life. And Rocky, to have you a part of that book is just really quite phenomenal. And every time I talk to people about it, they go, "You got Rocky Blyer?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I got Rocky Blyer." So that's pretty cool.
You know, the great thing about the book, because and I've always felt that none of us are islands. We all belong to one continent, and we didn't get to where we are today by ourselves. Ultimately, as you look through your life, there has been people that have been inspirations, that have helped you, that have pulled you along, and I think that becomes very important, that other people realize the impact that they may have on somebody's life, but also other people that have had an impact on their lives. And I remember when we were talking about the one incident or a incident, and there really isn't. I mean, there were several, as I look back on different sections of my life, that people helped get you through, or people were a big influence or made a difference, whether they knew it or not, in your life. To give you another opportunity, or to give you a belief system, or give you some help just because of what they said or what they did. So they all have that, pull from coaches that I had, from people that I played with, but also people that I knew that were in Vietnam. And it was like, and I think one of the stories was the soldier that carried me to the helicopter after I got wounded. So it was out of the darkness. It was night. I was laying on the side of the road, and I say this because it's back in 1969 when all of a sudden this soldier, this African American, this black soldier, two black hands pick me up and throws me over his shoulders and starts carrying me to the helicopter, and the helicopter is a far distance away. He puts me down, my blood all over him, he catches his breath, continues on, and he gets me onto the helicopter. And I take off. And I never knew who he was or what his name was or where he lived or where he came from or anything about him. But yet, it was a story that has lived with me, but an impact that has changed my life because of one person to help me pull through. And so we all hopefully have a story of some nature like this that we can reflect on, because hopefully, this book, Doug, it spurs those moments in the readers' lives, and they go, okay, let me share mine with somebody, that has helped them. So I appreciate you and keeping me in, or asking me to be involved in the book. Thank you.
Well, you were like the top of my list. He was the very top of my list of people that I wanted in this book, and what a joy it was that morning. I just started reaching out to people. I left a message on your phone, I think on a Friday morning, and you're calling me back that morning saying, I'm in, I love it. And I'm like, yeah. Oh, that was easy.
It was easy. It was true. Well, we're going to make it tougher the next time.
Not always that easy. So I really appreciated that. And that really got the ball rolling. And we're hoping to have basically about 25 chapters. We're shooting to have 20 of them finished, or 90, at 95% before they go to final edit by the end of this month, and then hopefully have the release out in 2021. So
excellent. Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of people. Let me see if I can bring everybody in. I'm going to try Marcus again. Let's see if Marcus, test 1, 2. Marcus, are you there?
Okay, can you hear me now?
We got Marcus.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I switched to a totally different computer for this.
All right. And of course, we've got, let's see, let's bring her back in. Let's see how many people I can make this a party. Anna Maria Bliven, you're up there. And I brought in a Canadian friend from just up of the border. Jay Stoyan from the Disability Channel has joined us, and they're not going to all bombard you, Rocky, but they all just wanted to say hi. Marcus, I know you've been listening, and I want to let you get a couple of questions into Rocky before we bring Jay in and Anna Maria again. So, Marcus, you as a veteran to Rocky, I want you to talk a little bit to each other.
How you doing, Rocky?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, I just want to say, from veteran to veteran, thank you a great deal for your service. You are definitely the epitome of what an American hero is. Having gone through different things in my life as well, and having had an injury, and suffering from 7 years of battling multiple PTSD symptoms, a traumatic neck injury while I was over in the second Gulf War, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and you mentioned meeting a lot of good people along the way, a lot of awesome people that lift your hand up there. But the most important one was the one that saved your life. I guess the biggest question I haven't I can go through a lot through my data bank here in my head, but one would be while we going through this time right now. There's a lot of people who maybe feel like just because you can't see the wounds on the inside, maybe everybody's doing okay. How can we get the conversation started to those people that don't necessarily see the wounds on the inside. How can we get them to really broaden their minds and make that mind shift to know that, hey, it's good to check in on people. It's good to be that one person, that same person that saved you. To save someone that may be hurting.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, that's a great question, because with the mentality of most people who, especially today, who have not served. I mean, 99% or 1% of our population serves. 1% plus serves our country. So there's 98.5% or 99% of the people out there that has no skin in the game, as they say. So they don't really understand what that whole process is. And it's so easy for them to thank the veteran for their service, no matter what they do, or if you've been in, how many times have you been thanked? Oh, you're in the service. Well, thank you very much for your service. It's easy to say that, but it's hard to understand what you've gone through, because they don't have that same experience of what it is. So it's really constant dialogues like this to be able to get the word out, to have people understand that our military today, and especially in a transition, is that when you leave the military, you leave the Department of the Defense. They hand you off to the VA, and then the VA is supposed to be able to take care of your wounds. Oh, there's so many holes in between those slots. And especially if you're in the military, and if you serve, and you're getting out after 5, 10 years, or after a career 20 years or 25 years, and they say, okay, fine, here's your benefits, this is what you've done, thank you very much for your service of time, and they kind of pass you off. That doesn't process. All you want to do is get out and move on to the rest of your life, whatever that may be. And so there isn't an easy transition for that. So then all of a sudden, that military personnel, falls into a cavern to some degree. People don't understand. Even the civilian, now you'd make a job transitions. How do I can go on forever about transitions and the perception of the workforce of civilian life, how they perceive a military personnel. So let's just say you are a infantry officer, or been in the infantry, or you're so on, or whatever it might be. How do you take those skills, that skill set that you've had over those many years, and transform that into a civilian job? They don't, but everything that you've learned, now people understand the background of being in the military, and understanding orders, and getting the job done, and having a goal and setting those goals. And that's everything that's been taught, and the civilian people understand that. But when you're applying for a job, and all of a sudden you come to HR, and I'm not saying anything about it, but there is a 28-year-old young lady that's running the HR department, and she's interviewing you, and she has no sense of what you can do, or how I can make that transition of the skill sets that you have into this job. Oh, so it becomes very frustrating, and they say, well, no, we don't have a place. Then you become frustrated as a veteran, and at times, sometimes you just give up. So, I mean, there's a lot of communication that needs to take place, a lot of education on both sides. It's happening slowly, but it's really that responsibility to get to the civilian world and say, okay, all right, I need to get somebody in there to understand how I can make that transition, and how I can use these skills over here into something that is useful in our corporation. And so that is, and it's a constant thing like this. And Dave given us a platform to be able to talk about it and have you on it, and get that word out. So that's that's what I see.
Anna Maria?
I can totally relate to what you just said, Rocky. On both sides of the fence. As a candidate for employment, I was told after I left the military in 2008 that all of my leadership training, because I rose to almost a sergeant major, didn't really matter in the civilian workplace. I had to basically start over again and build myself back up to being able to get a leadership position in the civilian workforce. They made me feel like we were all in a line to get ice cream in an ice cream truck, and I was cutting that line.
That's
And
right.
it was a weird feeling, but it's a reality of a military person that is leaving the military and going into the civilian workforce. But I'm happy to hear that Prosperity Pathways, LLC, an organization, actually, no, that's the business, but the organization is Onward and Upward. That's a subsidiary of Prosperity Pathways, LLC. And because of the 13 years that I was a career counselor in the Army, I'm very well trained in transferring the skill set of an MOS to civilian job employment. And I do it. And we've helped 400 plus people since 2013, and we're continuing to march forward. And I would love an opportunity to connect with you and talk to you some more about what it is that we are doing to help.
Oh, good. Okay. And we'll make that through Dave, we'll make that an opportunity. Because one of the other things too, just from a mental set, or from the civilian world, is that all of a sudden you come into the civilian world after a military career of X number of years and so on, and I have more often than not, I've heard civilian workers say to the veteran, you're not gonna bring that military shit in here, are you? I mean, you're not gonna demand all this kind of stuff that you did in the military, because now all of a sudden you become almost labeled, something different than what the average workforce is. So that's an obstacle they have to overcome.
Oh yeah, I was once denied an interview because I was coming from the military.
Well, that's why it's so important for us to have these forums, and we can talk about these things, and give a platform for Anna Maria to show people, and what it's like to do things online when everybody's so afraid of those things. And Rocky, I know you got to get going. I wanted to thank you for being a part of this tonight. It's so great to have you here, and just talk a little bit of football and catch up. And I know I've got all these other people that are going to be a part of the show, so I want to let you go. And if you want to say goodnight to anybody, or say goodbye, or just jump off, whatever you want to do. Again, I appreciate your time and appreciate you being a friend.
Thank you. Anna Maria, that was great. Marcus, good luck. Nice to meet you. All right, we'll talk once again. Thank you.
Right. Rocky Bleier, the legend, the man, and I can't wait to see him in person again. So, Rocky, we'll catch up hopefully in Pittsburgh again real soon.
All right, fine. Thanks, Dave.
I love you. All right, let me bring in everybody else. There's me over there. Hi, me over there. That's just the extra camera that we have. And I'm now going to bring in Doug Cornfield back in, let's see, the fifth one, Jay Stoyan. So, hi, everybody, and welcome to our Ability MKE. Might be the most guests we've ever had, but wanted to take this opportunity again. We've got the big Ability Fest USA coming up October 26th to November 1st. It's still on. We're still behind the scenes and building things. We got job programs with Jay and the Disability Channel trying to get volunteers going. And Anna Maria, you've got all these things that you can teach people and show people. And Marcus, I'm glad we got your audio back, man. We missed you for a little bit. I'm sitting there trying to do all this stuff, so it's good to have you back. So Jay, first I want to bring you. You haven't had a chance to say hi, so welcome. Your first appearance on the new Ability MKE now with Dave Stevens. And we have the opportunity to have the Disability Channel and WXRW 104.1 kind of merging with River West Radio, and we got Doug Cornfield, and it's just a whole family affair. So, Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on here. And let me just say, the conversation, just listening to the veterans, so honored to be a part of that. It was just so insightful, so enlightening, so encouraging and positive. So thank you so much to the three veterans on the call here. And of course, Dave and Doug, I know a long relationship. So again, I'm honored to be a part of this great Thursday night radio show. Dave, you're just like Superman. So terrific. What I'd like to do, for people who don't know who I am, I come from Toronto, Canada. I have a platform called the Disability Channel. Our focus is employment program opportunities for persons with disabilities. However, you do not have to be disabled. And also we take a heavy focus on veterans. So we're really, really happy that we're coming down to Wisconsin. We're working through Anna Maria and Dave and of course Kurt. And we have some great corporations on board like CAI. So we're really excited. So our program is right now it's a pilot in Wisconsin. It's in media. So it's going to be a 4-week program. We're kind of condensing it. Anna Maria is taking care of all the wonderful candidates. So I thank you, Anna Maria. This is wonderful. What I'd like to do is just sort of open it up to you guys. And you guys might want to ask me a couple questions. And the people that are watching or listening, maybe get some insightful information rather than me just go on and on. So I'll open it up. If people want to ask me anything, I'm here to answer.
Well, I think, Anna Maria, you wanted to just quickly talk about, and real quick before we get to Jay's thing, you wanted to bring up how do you find out if you're being snowed on trying to find online jobs?
Yeah. Unfortunately, there is a huge market for those that are wanting to take advantage of those of us that really want to work at home permanently. The reason why I say permanently now is because with COVID-19, there's a lot of people that are working at home, some of them for the first time ever, some of them in a situation where they wish they could go back to the office tomorrow, and others that really would rather stay continuing to work at home. So we have that situation. So when I say permanent remote position, I refer to those positions that were always available before and after COVID. So when you're going for an online job, you have to be really careful that the company that you think has the open position is real and the position is real. So there are some things to look out for. You want to make sure that the website has terms and conditions and privacy statement first and foremost. Make sure that the grammar is not blatantly with errors, and the spelling, don't all of that spelling errors situation as well. But if your gut says, I'm not so sure about this, listen to it. And if you're still not sure, go to the other parts of the internet, such as Glassdoor, and type in the name of the company. And that'll tell you right off the bat whether or not there's been any complaints. The Better Business Bureau site also, go to that, type in the company, see if it's relatively new or it's a new name for an old company. Gotta be careful with that. And then I mentioned too in the first segment about kidnapping websites. Yeah, guys, now there's something new that's taking place. Other people are kidnapping other websites. So the way to know that you're not being on a website that was kidnapped is to make sure that when you're going to that website, you are being directly to. In other words, there's nothing that's popping up in the middle and then heading over. That's happened to a couple of people that I've helped in the last couple of weeks. The other thing too is that when you're in the search results, after you type in work at home data entry or work at home customer service or work at home teaching, whatever, you want to make sure that in the search results, whatever you're hovering over, you don't get all those numbers, letters, and special characters that's strewn from left to right on the bottom of your screen. If you do, don't click, because if you click, that's probably going to be going to a place that you didn't intend to go. So unfortunately, in the world of seeking and finding and applying jobs, you got to be careful. So please let us help you. Prosperity Pathways, LLC. That's the name of our company, but it's prosperitypathways.com to come find us.
Well, that's some good stuff. So let me just bring everybody back in here real quick. And we get back to Jay, because I want you to talk talking about the ADA Act and the 30-year anniversary of that here in the States. But what the Disability Channel is trying to do in the media, I think, is really, it's fun to be a part of that, where it's come from the grassroots up there, and I get to be a part of it here, and we teach and educate the world, and we've gotten Marcus and Anna Marie. So what opportunities are going to open up because of the Disability Channel's involvement?
Well, what we want to do and start in Wisconsin is duplicate what we have up here in Toronto and across Ontario. So what we're doing up here in Toronto is we have the federal and provincial government along with the private and business sector, and we connect with the persons who are on disabilities who receive assistance through provincial or federal funding, and we set up a plan to get them off assistance, either full-time or part-time, and they learn a skill. So they learn a hands-on skill. So we up here in Canada, we have a 4 to 14 week program where it's a paid internship, 2 days a week. You come into our studio or now online, right? Obviously because of COVID, right? And you learn a skill one day and then you implement the skill the next day. So Tuesday you learn, Thursday you implement, you get paid. Within the 14-week program, we have liaison officers working with our corporations to set up hopefully a full or part-time job. We also employ a lot of people with mobility so they can work from home, which is perfect for what we do. And what we want to do is we want to bring that down to the States. So really what I do, we focus on media. So it's kind of like a 5-step program. So we teach high-end social media to promote your event, your show, your goods or services. We sit down, we teach you how to do pre-production. So we go through the event. So whatever the event you want to do. So basically script writing, right? So you want to plan your event, attach all the pieces, and then we go into production. So we also teach you how to do audio production, script writing, accessibility websites, hosting, work the camera, become a director, a producer, an executive producer. We produce the product, then we go into editing. So we put all the bells and whistles on it. Dave knows this. Obviously, he's a wonderful editor, host, cameraman, production person, salesperson, everything. So we go into editing, right? So that's piece 4. So at the end of editing, we have one complete piece to showcase persons with disabilities, showcasing abilities. That's what we're all about, by and for persons with disabilities, showcasing abilities. And then we hit it with our social media, phase 5. And there we go, just like we did at the Super Bowl 3 years in a row with Dave and Doug. I love Doug, all of it with the kids, with the programs, with the training, with everything there. So I really want to get to know Marcus. My hat's off to you, Marcus, for being a veteran. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. So that's really basically it. We're an open book here in Canada. We're coming down to the States full force, and we're going to support all you guys in the States together. It's going to be wonderful. So if people want to find out more information on our website, you can go to www.thedisabilitychannel.ca or just connect with these wonderful people and we can follow up. So, Dave, I really thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for joining us, Jay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Doug, Marcus, Anna Marie. This is awesome, guys. Have a wonderful – and let you know, we really thank the USA. You guys are our big brother. So thank you so much.
It's good to hear a country doesn't hate us anymore.
We love you guys up here. Oh, I do. I love you guys. You guys are the best, though.
Well,
thanks, guys. I'm going to take off.
All right.
Maybe we'll see you in a couple weeks or something.
Okay, bud. Talk to you
Okay.
soon. All right. So it's just the 4 of us here. If people are still watching and listening, Marcus, man, I wanted to get your thoughts on the show since we didn't get to have you talk, but to see Franco Harris and Rocky, and such an amazing veteran, again, another role model that veterans have been able to get behind and watch the successes he's had off the field and the battles he's had, as you guys discussed. I'm just wondering what your thoughts were.
He's the type of person we need at the forefront, and what you saw there is a great example of of two individuals, demonstrating camaraderie. If I'm saying the word right, I'm not too much worried about the pronunciation of the word right now, but brotherhood, though, essentially brotherhood, and that's the same type of brotherhood we had in the military, and oftentimes when you exit the military, that brotherhood is kind of lost, and he found that through sports, by becoming a professional football player, and as you can see, that bond never left. They're still talking about birthdays at their age. So,
Yeah.
it's an incredible thing. Real beautiful to see that, and to see that he's putting things in place to help other people get that same type of energy and same type of love to share in the league.
And Doug, I didn't get to do it because we ran out of time with Franco, and I didn't get to finish my poll, but I was just curious if people thought who wore the number 32 in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform the best. I meant to show that to Franco, and I got so busy here trying to do everything here. I missed you, Marcus, but yeah, that was me at age 13, and that was Franco Harris in 1972. He doesn't have the afro anymore. In fact, he doesn't look anything like that anymore, but just to so the listeners and viewers know that I was a little Steeler fan back there in 1979, I think is when I got that shirt. And they didn't make a lot of NFL shirts in those days, so I got Franco Harris. You were a lucky kid if you actually got a professional athlete shirt, especially in Arizona.
So did you ask me a question, Dave?
Yeah, my question was, hey, what'd you think of the show?
Well, I would have never worn a Steelers jersey, although I have the greatest respect for Rocky Blyer and that team. But I remember when I was in Little League in Pennsylvania, we had actually an outstanding Little League program, and my high school program, still one of the best in Pennsylvania. And I got number 32, and my minor, and my midget football team. And the first thing I said to the coach, "Oh, it's O.J. Simpson and Franco Harris number," and knowing that, so I wore 32 as well. But it wasn't a Steelers jersey. There is no way I would have worn a Steelers jersey being on the East Coast of Pennsylvania.
Well, hey, I had a lot of fun tonight, and I know not everybody's sports fans, and we're a little heavy on sports so far, but I guarantee you we got some other guests up our sleeves. But again, when we bring in these sports guys, I try to make sure that it's a veterans and it's a story and it's something that everybody can talk about, because Ability MKE now is about people with those disabilities overcoming that. And so everybody that's been a part of the show so far has overcome something. We're going to continue to showcase it. So I appreciate you guys being a part of it, and we'll continue onward and upward, as Anna Maria likes to say, and continuing to showcase those opportunities for veterans, those with disabilities, and those guys like Doug Cornfield, who's just a good guy and helps out people and has a kid who's a son who was born without arms. So don't forget to join us next week, next Thursday. I don't even know who my guest is next week, but continue to follow us on all social media, all platforms of Facebook, Instagram, everything. Appreciate Doug Cornfield joining us. I got my DJ Marcus Hart. He joined us. Anna Maria Belivin, you join us again every week. It's been great to be with you guys this week. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all those good places for Dave Stevens Speaks. Follow Marcus. Marcus, get your plugs in here, buddy.
You can follow me real soon. I'll have my own personal Twitter coming up real soon. Look out for that. That'll be I don't know the handle yet, but until then, just you can find me at transformu.us / the transform.live.show.
Doug, I got so discrambled. Pick the book, the website. Where can people find it?
Poundofkindness.net is the best place to go. Use promo code D3Day. You can get our children's book, Dave's book, a coloring book, and find out more about what we do. Poundofkindness.net. And then it looks like we're going to have one event this year, Dave, and we're going to be doing that in Hartford, a disability baseball event in Hartford, Connecticut. And really thanks to Dave Stevens not letting it die. So
it's going to be fun. We'll have some.
It'll be different. It'll be different, but it'll still be wonderful in Hartford in under a month.
And Anna Maria, any closing thoughts?
Yes. I just love the fact that you have all of these guests that come on and talk about inspirational stories, so that if any of us are thinking that because we are in a situation that we wish we weren't in, that we can still rise above it. And I'm thanking you for giving us that inspiration to rise above it.
Well, this is my group. I got my DJ Marcus saying bye-bye, Anna Maria, Doug Cornfield, all my friends here. That music can mean only one thing. That's the end of our show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rocky Blyer. Thank you, Franco Harris. And thank you, everybody out there, for listening. Every Thursday night, Ability MKE Now with Dave Stevens and all my guys right here, riverwestradio.com, WXRW 104.1. We love you.